Good morning. Do you know, this is probably an ADHD thing. So it's the same time, it's 5:45 in the morning. I've just got up and had my breakfast and medication, and I do the same thing every single morning wrong. Like, I turn my photo booth on to be able to sit here and do a video. Get myself all prepared. I've got my little notes down that I'm going to say, and I hit it as if I'm on a newsreader, and then it takes a picture. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, I guess some things like that have got to make me laugh. But yeah, good morning. How are we all? A few things. Again, it's my morning kind of offload and brain dump, I guess, about not necessarily the things I've realised only yesterday, because tomorrow will be 1 week on my medication, late diagnosed ADHD, and I do have dyscalculia. I'm not sure if I have mentioned that before. Anyway, yeah, there's another thing that makes me think of, which is totally off track, but if there's anything that requires a 50-50 chance, I get the wrong 50% every night. I've got to pull a blind. It's just two. One day I'll get it right, but I never have done so far. I pull the wrong one and I pull it up rather than down. But anyway, that's a side note. So a few things this morning I'd like to talk about. Leading up to even considering that I might be neurodiverse, my life had been chaotic, to say the least, non-stop, fast forward, self-destruct, you name it. And with the realization that I may have this condition or something that enabled me to understand the way I have been all of my life, that was when I kind of took my foot off of the accelerator. So even before diagnosis, I was imagining what life would be like if I did have ADHD or a condition that made me understand myself a bit better. And during the process of me getting my diagnosis and seeing the psychiatrist, I started to be a bit kinder to myself then, and it's probably the first time in my entire life that I actually allowed myself to stop and I guess have a burnout. I've never, ever stopped. For 20 years of being a housewife, I did not have to get out of bed. Could have stayed in bed. My husband expected nothing of me, like breakfast on the table or anything like that. Nope, I was up at the crack of dawn, and maybe all along I knew that if I didn't do that, get up and crack on and act like I could cope and that, you know, I'm normal, I just kept going and kept going and kept going. So probably for a couple of months before my diagnosis, I had what I can only describe as burnout, where I sat and did what I needed to do. So where I'm always chasing that dopamine hit, I now know. I didn't know what it was. I just thought I was running. I didn't know what I was running to or running from, apart from grief. So for those couple of months beforehand, so later, the later part of last year, I actually allowed myself to do what I needed to do, which was craft. It was macrame, it was making pom-poms, and do nothing else. So of course in that time the house has been ignored. Even though the mess is in front of me, I have been able to go, that's not going to make me happy, this is. So yeah, I kind of did that, which was unusual. Also probably this last year and a half, I don't think this is an ADHD thing. I think it's just an oddity in me, but I've developed a really weak gag reflex. It probably is a real psychological thing, because I had a gastric bypass, so I have to take meds every morning. I have to eat before I take those meds, and I used to be absolutely rigid up. Doesn't matter what time I got up. The first thing I did was my porridge. I knew it was good for me. That would allow my tablets to soak up that I need to take for the rest of my life. I hate taking them, but I do it because I have to, and I push through it. But in the last probably year and a half, I've developed this gag reflex, and alongside that, with taking my meds, it became an issue. So I would then put it off. So even though I'd still be up at the crack of dawn and I'd throw myself into doing some craft and having the telly on in the background or the radio, I was putting off my breakfast, which also meant putting off my meds. And then sometimes it would come down to the fact I felt so nauseous about taking the meds that I would only take the real necessary ones, which wasn't good in any way. So the difference is now that I don't have to, now that I take Elvanse. So again, I was woken up by my cat this morning, not naturally, but that's like, joys of having a cat, I guess, especially a terrorist one. That I'm up, and of course the first thing I want to do is take that Elvanse, and so I don't even feel sick at having a piece of toast. Same stuff, boring stuff. Toast, Marmite, generally cold toast, so the butter and Marmite doesn't melt. That's just me. And for 1 week now, I've had no nausea. I've had no gagging while taking tablets. Is it all like a real in your mind thing? I don't know. So anyway, that's one thing about taking my meds. So I'm pleased to say that I'm kind of up and more prepared to take my meds than ever. Something else I hadn't mentioned and I keep meaning to is also probably this last year and a bit, I have been going through the menopause at the grand old age of 50. So I've been on HRT and I've had to have them upped for different reasons, and we've been testing out a few things with me. I've always been a really confident driver and I've always enjoyed driving. I always then kind of took the piss out of myself and said I'm a control freak because I'd rather drive. And sometimes I've thought that's because then my destiny is in my own hands, not anybody else's. Maybe a fear of dying. There's lots I could go into and I won't with that. But I've always considered myself a very good driver. I make stupid mistakes like everybody does. And I've got the normal road rage. And nobody needs to get in my fucking way or pull in front of me when I haven't said so. You get those normal stuff. About a year and a half ago, I can specifically remember driving to a holiday with my friends, my widowed friends, and it was about a 2.5, 3 hour drive to Norfolk. We were off to a house near the seaside, and by the time I'd got to the place, I was a wreck. I had never experienced anxiety while driving, and I couldn't understand it myself at that point. I'm probably going to have to go into a part 2 here because I'm already at 8 minutes. God, I'm waffling this morning. So yeah, I got there, and the only way I could describe it to my girlfriend was I actually feel like I've held my steering wheel so tight. I feel like I've done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, and I just wanted to collapse when I arrived. Everything scared me, and it was so alien to me, as in, I say scared me. So, okay, you're driving along, and I think my head wasn't in a state of concentration. So I'd be driving along almost autopilot, which we often do, and you just do. But then maybe a car would overtake me really fast. And oh my God, I felt like I was going to have a panic attack. I didn't, but I was panicking. And then since then, every little unexpected noise or somebody doing something I didn't expect caused me to jump. And I was scared. And I didn't know what I was scared for. I'm going to go to part 2. Sorry, guys, because I'm dragging on a bit this morning. I've got loads to say this morning. Blame the meds. Anyway, part 2 in a minute.